My first question is, how did you get into acting, and what inspired you to take that route?
I kind of got into acting by luck. Basically, my friend Todd, um, he was taking an acting class, and he asked me if I would be part of his short film, and then
Mm-hmm.
I said sure, and he said he'll pay for a couple free classes for me, so I went to a couple free classes, but then I ended up getting a part that was I was getting ready to go to the World Championships as actually a coach, and I was a head coach, and when I went to Hanoi, Vietnam. Um, I had six fighters in the semifinals, two moving on to the finals, and then I had four in the four going for bronze. And basically, my mom called me up really late over where I was at
Yeah.
uh, in Hanoi, and she's like, "You got to call this Russian producer, and like he needs to talk to you right away." I'm like, "Mom, I got six fighters, you know, in the semis, two moving on, and
Right.
it's I'll do it when I could." She's like, "No, you gotta do it right now. They're gonna pay you like $20,000 just for one fight on this movie." And I said, "Oh, really? Okay, well, I'll give him a call." So I gave him a call, and it was this this producer named Eric. I forgot it. I can't even pronounce his last name, but he had a movie with David Carradine, Eric Roberts, Kerry Tagawa, um, Gary Busey, and like he says, "Hey, I like you to, like fight in the movie as the main fight." I said, "Okay, sure." Um, and he's, "I need you, leave right now and fly to Toronto. I'm sorry, I'm in Hanoi, Vietnam, and I'm coaching. I got two fighters in the semis, and I mean two in the finals and four in the semis, and then and he's how about tomorrow?" I said, "Nope, tomorrow I'll be there, the final match." And then he's all, "How about the next day?" I said, I have to be there as a coach for the closing ceremonies and the awards. And he's all, "How about the day after?" I said, "Okay, I can leave the day after." So you know my fighters go on. I I became the most successful U.S. coach to bring home two silvers and four bronze medal. And so when I flew back to Toronto, as soon as I got off the plane, they picked me up. They got me on set. They put makeup on me, and they shot the first scene, which was just a quick workout in the gym. And then when he introduced me to his whole team after they cut, they said, "Welcome, Kung Lee. Meet everyone. This is our new star." I'm like, "New star?" I thought it was just supposed to be the main fight. And then so what happened was I believe Mark Dacascos walked off the set because it was in SAG.
Oh.
So they ended up replacing him with me, and then basically the rest is history. I realized that you know I needed acting lessons, but I was doing a little bit of acting lessons with my buddy Todd. I had a
Yeah.
few in, but then I you know I got picked up for this, and I left for the World Championships, and I didn't get a chance to come back to do another class and to do like a short film. I just came back and ended up in Toronto with this movie, these actors, and it's kind of like God's plan.
Yeah. One of your acting roles that you did was the movie Fighting. I really liked that movie. What was your experience like on that movie? Any like memories or anything from that movie? Where you played one of the guys that fought Channing Tatum there.
Um, you know that was like my first real, uh, kind of studio film. Channing Tatum, um, you know, just it was a good cast, and I got along with Channing real well, and you know, he was down to just to like work hard, and basically, the fight coordinator kept on saying, "What do you think, Kung?" And I'm like, "You're the one who's putting the fights together,
Right.
So I started putting, my scenes together. And I kind of pulled Channing aside, and I said, "Hey, your character's a wrestler in here. How come he's having you throw so many punches? You should be shooting in, picking up guys, dumping them." So
Yeah.
I had him, like, when I slapped on that armbar, he picked me up and did the Rampage Slam. I think that was the first time anyone did a Rampage Slam in any movie. So it was a good time. It was good working with him, good working with the director, and it was the first time on a real, like, movie set.
Yeah. Did you teach Channing any martial arts moves, or did he even have any type of background in martial
Channing's really athletic. He's I guess he was a high school, like, he played football, cornerback. He had a black belt in some kung fu style
arts? Oh, okay.
when he was 14. So he was he picked up things really easy. But after that, we became really good friends. He came to my Frank Shamrock fight, and then after that, I guess we just became good friends.
Yeah. Um, Another show that I really love was Into the Badlands that you were on, and what was your experience like working on that show? And anybody that hasn't seen that show should definitely watch it. It's on Netflix. I've been binge watching it again. I love that show.
Yeah, actually, that show I came after my last fight against Michael, and I reached out to Daniel Wu, and I said, "Hey, I'm retiring from fighting, and let me know when you got something, like a movie going." And then, like, we talked about working with each other before, so he's you know I I think I got something. I'll let you know. And then a couple of months passed by, and usually in Hollywood, when people say they're gonna do something, they tend to forget or they don't do it. And Daniel is one of those guys that ended up saying, he called me up a couple months later. He's like, "Hey, sorry, I haven't called. I got this show, Into the Badlands, and I just wanted to get the right character for you, and I think I found him. Are you down to come out and play this character who's a Shaolin monk?" And he's all, "You down to cut your hair?" I'm all, "Man, I'm not gonna cut my hair. Why would I have to cut my hair? This is like the after, like, World War III. What monk's gonna be cutting his hair, right?" And then I was just joking around with him. In my head, I was like, okay, I would cut my hair, but there you know there's been a few other projects where, like, okay, off goes your hair, and I'm like, hey, this was in the deal, right? So I want to make sure that I could get with it, and he's don't worry, I'll work it out so you don't have to cut your hair. So it ended up good, because, like, all the, like, the kung fu movies I've done, like
Yeah.
True Legends, I had a big, like, hair, like,
Yeah.
whooping it, and in Bodyguards and Assassin, I shaved my head the first time with Donnie Yen, but then when I came back for the pickup shots, or to, like, replace the shots that we did, my hair was growing, and I was getting during that time when I came back, I was getting ready to go out to Comic-Con to promote my film. So I said, I got to hang on to my hair, like,
Yeah.
come back. And so every morning, 4 hours in a chair doing the skull, like the fake,
Yeah.
being
Hmm.
fake, 4 hours every
Wow.
single day, and got up 4 hours before anyone else and was on set. And the last day, me and Donnie Yen, we had to shoot my scene out because I had to fly back, right? So it was a 24-hour shoot. It was literally, I got off set, I ran to the hotel, um, uh, took a quick shower, grabbed my stuff, and I was off. I don't remember if I got a chance to shower. Yeah, I couldn't remember. So it was one of those, like, crazy, just long 5 days of, like,
Yeah.
14 hours, and the last day was 24. So
Wow. 4 hours to put on a skull cap. That's I didn't realize it took that long, man. One of the things that stands out on Into the Badlands to me is the fight scenes. And your character, that was perfect for you, by the way. Was you involved in any of the choreography for the fight scenes at all?
You know what? I got on set on the first season, and I was like, "Hey, when are we gonna rehearse? When are we gonna rehearse?" And it was from Andy Chang to we call him. He was like back in the day. He was Wu Ping's right hand man. Um, gosh, like I can't remember exactly the Chinese pronunciation, but uh, he said that, hey, we hear that you come on set and I worked with Wu Ping before. We reached out to
Yeah.
Wu Ping to see how it is to work with you, to make sure they I think they make sure who they bring in on, and if they're easy to work with, or if not. So I guess I had a good rep where Wu Ping says, oh, just like for my first time working in China, Wu Ping, I flew in literally from San Francisco into Beijing, and then drove for a couple hours to set, and they literally like put on like my clothes and my beard, and it took like a few hours, and felt forever because I just got off the plane, right? And then so got on set, and like Wu Ping looked at it, had the lady fix a few things on my beard, and then and then grabbed the sword, got his right hand man at the time, and they did some stuff, and then he threw me the sword. I caught it, and he's all, you try. So it took me a little bit, and then as soon as I got that set down, he's all, very good, very good. I'm all, cool. I was like sweating already because it was real hot, and he's all, we shoot. And then like everyone got off from from whatever they're doing, and they got on the the horn, and everyone got on, and boom, we're shooting.
Nice. Did I see that you worked with Jean-Claude Van Damme before?
Yeah, I did a movie with him called Dragon Eyes.
Okay. What was it like working with him? What was he like?
You know what? He was a cool guy to me. A lot of people mention things. He was hard to work with. I didn't have that problem. So, luckily for me, I was, I had a really good experience.
I don't know if you ever seen the video, but there's a video of Cody Garbrandt and Jean-Claude Van Damme, and he kind of accidentally clips Cody, and Cody gets really upset. I don't know if you ever seen that video.
Yeah, I actually saw that. He tried to throw, hook kicks because we were like messing around, and then they were filming it just to get some flow between. But like my character was supposed to be taking all the damage in the beginning, they're getting better, and then like it's like a time lapse sequence in the movie, and so he was throwing like hook kicks at my head, so I was blocking it. It was, but he didn't hit me, so I didn't get upset. Right. Even though one where I blocked it and his shoe came around and hit me in the head, but didn't bother me.
Did you enjoy acting or fighting more? Which one did you enjoy more?
Both have its own adrenaline rush and different type of energy. Different kind of rush, different kind of intensity. I would say fighting is definitely, at another level with adrenaline rush. But acting is, you have to perform, you have to deliver, and you have to stay in character.
Right.
Know when to turn it off and when to turn it on. So.
Do you ever look back and think, man, I wish maybe I just concentrated on acting, or maybe I just concentrated on fighting? Or are you just glad both?
Looking back for me, every time I look back, I tend to spend too much time trying to, analyze and think too deeply into things. And now I just realized that if I'm looking back, I'm not looking forward.
Right.
Like a lot of people say, oh, Cung, don't you ever wish you would have started MMA sooner? I said, well, I started MMA. I fought my fights. I did what I did. I won some, I lost some in MMA and in my martial arts career. I had a big amateur record and a long amateur run. But I had a couple losses, and then when I turned pro, I was just fortunate to find the right promoters, where I fought with Draka first, and then with Scott Coker after, and I didn't lose till I was in my MMA. When I started doing films, it's hard to mix doing films and then fighting, because you leave for months at a time, and you can't just bring your trainer along, and you don't know when your next fight is. So when you come back, next thing you know, you're like, hey, I'm back. What's going on? And Scott's like, hey, I need you to co-main event or be my main event for my for a fight. I'm like, I've trained at all for 18 months, like nothing.
Right.
And then long days on set, and I'm my Pandorum character, where I was working with Ben Foster and Dennis Quaid. I'm like, I'm still in space, man. I haven't done shit. So he's I really need you. So things happen. You just gotta go. You gotta live in the moment.
Definitely. Let me ask you, where does your martial arts journey start? Where does it start for you?
My martial arts journey started when my mom says, hey, I'm tired of seeing you come home from school getting beat up, and you gotta learn how to defend yourself. If you want to defend yourself, you gotta do it the right way. So she took me to a couple dojos. I didn't like a few of them, but then we found one that I liked, and then I wasn't consistent because she was working a lot of jobs. She had the good intention, but she didn't have the maintain a solid routine for me. But then I found that's where the discipline and everything really came into effect, where I found something that I really loved. There was contact sport, and then I excelled, at wrestling.
Did you end up taking care of those bullies?
A few of them I did. A few of them, I didn't. Again, you win some, you lose some. Just because you start martial arts doesn't mean that you can kick ass. It takes sometimes months and months or years of training and preparation in order to become a skilled martial artist. It doesn't happen overnight. So
I'll be honest. I used to think that when I was a kid, that the martial arts, that you would just be able to take out a room of 10 guys just like that. When I was a kid, let me see. When you first started fighting, was there a fighter that you wanted to emulate, like a style from a certain fighter that maybe you liked, that you're like, oh, I'm gonna do that?
Not really. When I first started martial arts, I was really stiff from wrestling, so stretching and all that was very painful. So, but I enjoyed it. I enjoyed it. It kept me out of trouble, and kept me focused. And basically, I again, a lot of it, I look back, and when you're looking back, you analyze things. And now in my older years of like wisdom, I look back and I'm like, man, it wasn't really my plan, to do this. This was God's plan, So by realizing and giving all glory to God, I think it's easier to look forward instead of looking back. Man, I wish I would have done this. I wish I would have done that. God gave me a choice. I took that choice, and I learned from that choice. And if I would have took a different route by using that choice to go this route, it would have been different. I don't know where I would be today. So I'm just happy that now I realize it's when you make plans, you achieve your plans, but when you're doing God's, when it's God's plan, it's much more rewarding. It's much more, you feel that connection, and you see your purpose in life. For me, I'm speaking for myself. I see my purpose in life a lot more when I feel connected to God.
Yeah. One thing about you is you were a really exciting fighter. Did you pride yourself on being an exciting fighter, or was that just how your style played out?
That was just how I fought.
Yeah. Do you think that fighters should also be entertainers? Like some fighters, maybe they have a boring style, but it is the strategic best way for that fighter to win. But do they also are they also entertainers? What do you think about that?
You know, I know how hard it is to be a fighter, especially a prize fighter, and at the highest level. So, because of the game, because of how easily the UFC can cut someone,
Yeah.
they people don't want to get cut,
Right.
and they have a family to feed, and they're not making like a real professional athlete when they first start.
Mm.
Even at the highest level, there's still NFL football players that kick field goals make more money than most of the fighters. So, um, I couldn't answer that question. And,
Yeah.
for me, it was just what I do, and it was part of me. And I think twice about I'm gonna go out there and be exciting. I'm gonna go out there and win. I'm gonna go out there
Right.
and dominate. I will not be denied. And I went out there and fought the way I fought.
What are some fighters today that you get excited to watch?
I whenever I sit down and I watch, I still have, I grew up in my MMA career. I started my MMA career with AKA, so I know a lot of the fighters, like DC and Kane when he was fighting, Mike Swick and everyone I trained with throughout the
Yeah.
day. But now, looking at it, I look at every fighter that steps into that octagon or that ring. It takes. There's only a handful of us fighters that can step into the high level of, I call it modern day gladiators.
Yeah.
Um,
Mm-hmm.
it's just it's there's so many good fighters, and styles match up with styles, and sometimes you think it's gonna be a great fight, and it becomes like a boring fight. So
Right.
I just I just watch as many fights as I could,
Mm-hmm.
when I have time, because a lot of times I just go back and watch highlights because I'm so busy, now
Right.
going on, and of course with COVID now, there's a lot of time watching fights, but
Yeah.
I'd rather get things done. I'm in the process of finishing up my fourth movie script that I'm writing, and I'm always um, working with investors in Vietnam and some investors over here just to fund and produce my own projects so I can do it
Okay.
my way.
Yeah. Yeah. That makes sense. You worked with both Scott Coker and Dana White, so I was wondering, what is something Scott could learn from Dana, and what's something Dana could learn from Scott?
Well, everyone who's at the top of their game can learn something from what they do, but the
Mm-hmm.
big difference between Scott Coker is and Dana White is Scott is a traditional martial artist. He grew up through the Taekwondo, the West Coast demo team, and he was mentored by Ernie Reyes Sr. So, and Ernie Reyes, if you don't know him, he's like renowned in the traditional martial arts career. Dana White came up, through whatever he came up, I believe he was teaching some boxing or cardio boxing or
Yeah.
whatever he was, and then, you know, um, he, he got dealt a good hand and had some good buddies with the Fertitta brothers, and they ended up buying the UFC, and they definitely they definitely hit the jackpot.
Yeah. This question probably isn't too much for you because I think you only went to one decision in your whole career. But how would you feel about open scoring in MMA?
Um,
We kind
Open.
of do it on the Ultimate Fighter, where if it's a draw at round 2, they'll say whoever wins round 3 wins this fight. But there's some organizations that are actually adopting open scoring where you know who won the rounds each round. What would you think about that in UFC or Bellator?
I think if it was tied going into like if they're 1-1 and then the third round was a tie, it'd be awesome to see a sudden death overtime.
Yeah. Frank Shamrock, that's a good win you had. I think you were 6-0 at the time. You beat
Yeah.
Frank. You won the Strikeforce title. What are some like thoughts or memories when you reflect back on that fight?
It was loud. The arena was so loud. I couldn't really hear my corner, and I remember coming back to the corner and Javier Mendez was coaching me at the time. And he's all, "Why are you? What's wrong? How come you're throwing wheel kicks? Our game plan is just to stick and move the first round and score some points and get a feel." I said, "I thought it was there." He's all, "Oh, no more wheel kicks. Understand? Let's." He ducks right underneath of you, knocked you down, almost had your neck. I said, "All right." I could, and he's all, "Why are you not listening?" I can't hear you. It's so loud. So
Yeah.
yeah, it was one of those intense moment where everything was like going by like slow motion. Like the fight was in slow motion. The crowd was so
Yeah.
loud. It was like I was in my own movie. So
Yeah.
crazy. Yeah.
The fights now during this COVID era, there is no crowd, so people can not only can they hear their corner, but they can hear the announcers. So how do you think that would have affected like maybe the Shamrock fight or any of your fights if you could have heard your corner better, if you could have heard the commentators?
Well, I don't know how much better the fight could have went. For me. You know.
Right.
Like for me, like I've learned to adapt. I'm that like Asian kid who, I'm a refugee. I've been through 3 different refugee camps.
Mm.
Grew up being bullied. Uh, Left my country, Vietnam, and started a new life in America with my mom and her family. So I would say, I can adapt to whatever life deals at me. But now, when I'm solid and my faith is stronger than ever, I feel like I can handle pretty much anything.
Yeah. Uh, Scott Smith, that's your only defeat in Strikeforce. And no offense to Scott Smith, but I don't see that guy on your level at all. What went wrong in that fight for you?
Well, what went wrong is I did 18 months of doing films. I came back and Scott saw I really need a main event for the end of the year show. We need you. I'm like, man, I haven't trained in. Let me check my calendar. 18 months. You
Right.
know, and he's you haven't done anything at all. I did some cardio, lift some weights. You
Right.
know, got done with 3 movies. I don't know how it feels. He's we actually talked about it over this spot where we eat pho, which is Vietnamese noodles with rice noodles,
Yeah.
like filet mignon steak, and then bone broth. And yeah, I just remember saying I need you know I need to see how I feel first. And then he's like, we don't have much. Tell me in a week. I'll give you 2. Please let me know. And I was like, there's only 9 weeks left. That's like a training camp for me. And then
Yeah.
thought, well, you're gonna have to let me know. If he's I need a favor. I need you to be the main event. So like after my first 2 sessions, I was like, I doubt this is gonna happen. I was too
Mm.
sore. You know,
Yeah.
it was tender. My shins were not even conditioned anymore. Kicked the
Yeah.
bag, were sore. So like literally, I didn't do any type of sparring or did anything much with striking, except for the movie for my parts.
Right.
So it was yeah, it was tough. And I went in there and I dominated, and I think I just didn't. I forgot how to pace myself.
Mm-hmm.
Easily, the first two rounds, and even going into the third round, was already so exciting. I could have spent the last 2 minutes running around, but instead I tried to pick him up and slam him. He grabbed the fence, and when I got up, I was like, oh, everything was burning. And I remember even after the first round, I was like, I came back to the corner, and then like Javier's slow down. I said, this is how I fight. I don't know how to slow things. What I do. And he's all, slow down, pick your shots, stick and move. And I went out there and blazed up the second round. Third round, he's all, look, you already won the fight. Only way he can beat you is to knock you out. Don't let that happen. Just run. Do whatever it is. You've been out for almost 2 years. Just survive this last round. And I was like, oh, my arms, rub my arm, put ice on my neck. It was like I was exhausted. So I went out there, and there's 2 minutes left. I was dominating the third round too, and I got caught. I was so tired that it was like, usually my chin's really good, but when you're super tired, everything goes.
Yeah.
Everything's out. So
your rematch with Scott Smith was actually, which is to note, you won the rematch. But your rematch with Scott was actually the first live pay-per-view that I ever watched.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
That fight, I was in shape. I really, really wanted that fight back.
Yeah. Which you avenged your only loss in Strikeforce too. And yeah. So you had a great run there. Wanderlei Silva was a guy that you fought in the UFC. Super exciting fight. What was your thoughts, feelings when you reflect back on a fight like that?
Well, first, my fight was against Vitor. But Vitor pulled out for whatever reason it was. And then they threw in Wanderlei, and it was a rough training camp for me. I was getting banged up a lot, and then Javier at that time, now the camp is like packed, really, so it's I needed the Javier Mendez attention, right? But he had Kane getting ready to fight, and we just had a little a string of bad luck, because Kane lost, I lost, and and I felt, again, I was I dominated the first round, but I came back the second round and I was I was gassed, and again, I didn't know, UFC signed me, but they didn't have a fight. But when they signed me, I still had, I had a few movie projects that I was doing, so I went ahead and finished those movie projects, came back and jumped into camp, and I felt like, for someone dangerous as Wanderlei, I should just, pick my shots, and just scored and win. But when you get out there, you start throwing things and there's connecting. You don't know how to shift. I don't know how to shift gears, and I should have shifted gears and come, like, after the first round, I was already done. But then I came out there and I was winning the second round. But then I was really winded. I had just a rough training camp, no excuse, but during a training camp, me and King Mo, we were training, and he picked me up and slammed me down. I didn't realize I cracked my rib right then and there, but as I drove home, I couldn't get out of my car. So.
Did you fight with a cracked rib?
Yep. Yeah.
Another great middleweight that you fought a lot of great middleweights, was Rich Franklin, and you got the finish on him. What are your thoughts and reflections on that fight? Rich was a great middleweight. You got the finish.
That's when I realized, again, I had beaten Patrick Cote, who was on a 5-fight winning streak, was the only fighter at the time who, next to Chael, who went into the third round against Anderson Silva. And then, it wasn't that Anderson was dominating that fight, but he stepped down, his knee popped, right, or something. And then And then so I got that win, and then so it was my first win. I was again that during that fight, I thought I broke my foot, but it was a deep bone bruise. I was in a walking boot for 2 weeks, and the UFC says we need you to fight, and basically didn't give me any options because they spent a lot of money in Macau, and I actually tried to pass on the fight because I wasn't cleared by my doctors, but I had to get cleared.
Jeez.
So I went. It was the first time I really studied tape, like every single day, and we just worked on the things that I would catch him with, and I literally I went out there, and the only thing that was off for me was his range. Right, I saw everything. I watched this so much. I see this is about to come. I was like, I'm gonna move out of the way, but then his jab was touching me. I was like, how's he touching me? I saw it coming, but he had that long, deceptive reach, right? So he hit me times. I was like, okay, I'm just gonna start closing that real estate on him. And instead of, I'm really good at catching kicks. I didn't want to catch his kick and sweep him out, and then end up on the floor, and then he won't kick me again. So I let him kick at my leg, and as you saw if you watch the fight closely, the first hook I threw is like a basketball player hitting an air ball. Right, didn't even hit the rim. The second one, I skinned his arm. Third one, I hit his shoulder, and that last one connected. Money. I saw it every time he kicked, and every time I came in with that practice, that that hook, like like that Bruce Lee saying, don't fear the man that does 1,000 move one time, fear that man that does, because at that time my foot was messed up. So if I kicked him and I hit an elbow or something, that foot would have been done. So I felt like I had maybe like 5 or 6 kicks on that foot, and then just stay busy, just stalk and look to score points. That when I slowed the tempo down, I made sure there's a 5-round fight. I was gonna last and go the distance.
Yeah, it was a beautiful knockout for sure. And I don't think fans, I know I probably don't think about it enough, is just how injured and beat up some of you guys really are going into these fights after these training camps. Another great middleweight that you fought, another former champion, was Michael Bisping. Any what do you think when you reflect on that fight?
I stuck to my game plan. Even though Javier Mendez didn't come out for that fight, we had a game plan. Have Mike believe that we're gonna, fight the point fighting game, score points, move, stick and move. And then in the second round, I got caught in the eye, and then that was very, very a painful moment for me, because when he hit me, the bone underneath my eyeball, the bone that holds up, it's a very thin bone. I don't even know the name of it. It's not the orbital bone, but it's the bone that holds up your eyeball. Mm. When he hit my eye, it cracked that bone, so I was bleeding inside my face, and I couldn't really. And of course, the cardinal rules when you're fighting, you get in the nose or you get in the eye, don't blow your nose. But it was in my lungs and in my throat, so I had to blow my nose, and my face blew up. Yeah, it was really bad, but that was a fight where I had to throw all my whole game plan out the door and try to go for the knockout, because I couldn't see, what was coming. Yeah. And I've never been hit so many times because my defense was off because of the eye. Yeah. And I figure, okay, well, this is there's many times like, hey, you're bleeding all over the place. I remember I came back to the corner, and Scott Sheely, who trained Matt Brown, says, hey, I'm gonna throw in the towel. I said, shit, why? He's all, dude, have you seen your face? I said, I can see lumps that's sticking out, but don't stop the fight. And literally got in a little argument, and I told him, if you stop this fight, we're no longer friends, right? And then, we had that moment where he had to tap me on my shoulders to let me know how many fingers, because I couldn't see that, on one side, it was completely jacked, because you saw my eye. It was like ugly. I was like the elephant man, And the other eye wasn't too too far off from this eye, So, we had that moment, I was, shit. Like, again, God's word. Here's your choice. You want to quit? Quit. Save yourself a little damage. Say, oh man, I'm gonna go out on my shield. For this opportunity, God. And I never go back and say, you didn't let me win, or people always blame someone or blame God. I was like, wow, I found out what kind of person I would, I am, or what I would do under this crazy situation. It was almost like a life or death situation, because when you're fighting in there, shit, you can get killed.
Yeah.
So I just remember the corner saying, "Are you able to go on?" Yep, I'm fine. And then I remember the doctor was like doing this, and the referee's all, holy shit. All right, let's come out. I don't know how you're fighting, but let's do this. I out there and let's just try to knock Michael out, and it just didn't work out. So
you definitely, the guys you fought during your run, man, you fought a lot of great fighters, and there was a fighter not too long ago that debuted in the UFC, and he quit in between rounds, and his corner was trying to send him out, and he kept saying, I'm done. I said, no, dude, you got, I think he said I'm done like 4 or 5 times. Anyways, the ref eventually calls it. There's a lot of stigma between quitting in between rounds. Do you think it's okay for a fighter, if he just knows he's done, to tap out in between rounds?
Here it is. Sometimes that fighter is actually smart, because if there's something wrong with him, like there was something wrong with me against Michael, I should have been like, dude, is my eye okay? Because here's the pain I felt. When he hit me, the pain was so bad. I felt like it felt like I wanted to throw up and have the runs at the same time. Yeah, and this whole side was like staticky, like you're watching TV and something's on the screen and you're like, what? I couldn't even focus, right?
Yeah.
I was trying to blink it out, and he'd start rushing me. He thought I was like hurt, but I was hurt, but I wasn't like hurt from being staggered. I was hurt from my eyeball, So, I mean, I would never, blame any fighters if they said they're done because it was an injury. But there are fighters that could continue, and if they quit, then of course, now they're a quitter. But there are fighters that it's better to save yourself that, from that one, battle, so you can continue to fight other battles, and finish your career, So
sometimes when you get knocked out, that chin goes too. So if you go in compromised, take a bunch of damage, sometimes I think when JDS fought Kane and that went on for so many rounds, I feel like that took a lot of years off of Junior Dos Santos' prime.
Yeah, definitely.
When the UFC acquired Strikeforce, did you have an option to be a free agent, or was you forced to go to the UFC?
I was locked in. Well, at that time, Showtime had my contract. Strikeforce had my contract, but Showtime had it. And then I was at the a Comic-Con promoting, I think it was Dragon Eyes, the movie with Jean-Claude Van Damme, and I can't remember exactly what movie I was at Comic-Con for, but I just said, hey, now that UFC bought out Strikeforce, I'm just gonna either retire or fight for UFC. So within a few weeks, Dana White and Lorenzo had me come in, and they gave me a different deal. So
cool. What was your worst weight cut? You got any bad weight cut stories?
I think just usually at 185 I don't have a problem, but like with the cracked foot against Wanderlei, I kind of should have just did a lot more cardio for non-impact, like that. Like with that rib, you couldn't run, but I just started wearing like flak jackets to protect and just light spar, and I just it was like being in the UFC and wanting to perform so bad. I was kind of like maybe I was like down and like a little bit depressed or something because I started like eating like crap, and I wish I had that fight back too, but it's done and over with. I don't try to look back, that would have been another fight that I would love to go back, in time and say, hey, let's do it this differently, So.
Yeah. Recently, a lot of fighters have had negative things to say about UFC's Joe Silva. I was wondering what your experience was like with him.
I never had any problems. Whoever they gave me, I would, agree. But a lot of times it was Dana who said, hey, come. He would give me a call and say, guess what? I got to fight for you, And then I didn't have to deal with Joe so much.
Right.
So whoever, Dana White wanted me to fight, I said, okay. There's been, a few times where I just had elbow surgery. And I'm like, I can't do it right now. Just had surgery. And he's all, you had surgery? I'm like, yeah. Like after the Rich Franklin fight, like actually even before the Rich Franklin, we did this crazy like 10-day tour in China, and like every time we did an open workout, it was like the way I did my open workout was like I would shadow box, I'll hit some pads, then I'll flow spar with my trainer. And we did like in 10 days, we did like so many like open workouts so we can get the press on it. And there was so much press in China and Asia and Hong Kong and, wherever we were promoting. I remember flying back, my elbow was like locked out because my trainer, Scott Shilley, threw a kick and hit me with the pad, and I was like, that felt weird, but adrenaline's going right then afterwards. I'm like, man, I can't like straighten out my elbow, and he's all, he's one of those like redneck, get your shit together, I'll see you back in the States, so he flew back to Ohio where he's living, and then a week later he came out so he can stay with his family for a bit. I came back, I was like, I was locked out. Went to the doctors, and they actually scoped the back of my elbow, took out some bone spur, and they couldn't do it in the front because then I would have been out for the fight because I needed that fight, so I ended up just like scope the back, we'll do the front, we'll do it later, and then so I got it done, so
yeah. What fight was the crowd the loudest? Was it the Shamrock fight?
Yep, Frank Shamrock fight was definitely the loudest.
What's the worst thing about being a fighter? And what's the best thing?
Worst thing about being a fighter is you have to be a very selfish, with time-wise person. Like it's got to be about you. And with me, with my family, my kids, I try to, give as much as I could, and basically, with my kids, they were there. They were like my, that's what kept me going.
Yeah.
Basically, that they were always, in the gym watching me train, and then afterwards, I know they wanted to go to the movies or go get some ice cream, and I just went to go home and shower.
Yeah, right.
So, I think for me, just being selfish with the time, and then, looking back at it, I could have mustered up a few more, like mustered up a little bit more energy to take my kids to,
right.
watch a movie or something. But I was usually after training. It's like the second training. They come to the gym. At least I watch them do their training, and I get my pads in, and I get my nighttime training in, and then I call it a day. I call it like a night, and take them home and go and shower, eat dinner,
Yeah.
and then I'm asleep, and and I don't get a chance to talk to them even at the gym. I'm too busy doing my own thing, and I think that's for me as a fighter that was probably the hardest thing.
What was the best thing?
For me, the best thing was backstage, and when you walk out, and that's when you kind of a lot of questions and a lot of things go through the head, and when you walk out, that rush, right, and when that cage, or when you step inside that ring, and you look across the ring, and that person's pacing back and forth, he's ready to kill you, and you got to be ready to go to war. That thing, that as soon as the bell rings, that first contact is the best thing.
Do you have any crazy fan stories?
Fan stories. No, I remember after I beat Scott Smith in my revenge fight. I was walking out, and all the fans were there, and some lady stepped on my instep with her heel, and my foot. It was already a little bit sore, but then that I was still in a rush. But like as soon as I got backstage, I'm like, why is my foot hurting so bad? And then I remember so that they started interviewing me when I was sitting in the chair, and I was like, I feel the pain now. Some lady stepped on her heel, so yeah. I remember because when she stepped on me, it went in, and her ankle, like she kind of like almost rolled her ankle on it,
You barefooted too, wasn't you?
I was barefoot walking back in.
Yeah. Hey, what's the question you get asked the most?
Who do you want to fight next? So.
What do you think about fighters that fight well after their prime? Some fans really disconnect when it's not for a title anymore. I mean, I always support my guys, but what do you think about it?
I did it. I felt like I was past my prime, but I was still able to do it. This being said, it'd be done in the first round. 4 minutes into the first round, I got four rounds, and early in the second round, he my eye was jacked up. So Who knows how that fight would have went if my eye didn't get jacked up, So, I think it all comes down to preparation. It all comes down to, training camp, and I'll come set.
Hey, last question. Who's the greatest fighter of all time?
Right now, I would say it's
all time. Khabib.
Yeah.
Awesome. Hey, you got anything you want to plug? I know you got your YouTube channel. I'll put that in the descriptions for all the videos that I post. Anything else you want to plug?
Hey, we're in a pandemic, so-called. The world we live in, doesn't matter what God you believe in, but have that connection with the higher up. For me, it's God Almighty, and in Christ, is who saved me and saved everyone from their sins. And we all got to stay united, because as that saying, united we stand, divided we fall. So that's the only message. Thank you for all the love and support over the years. Hopefully I can bring a new element on the big screen for everyone, and God bless everyone.
Yeah, man, thanks so much for your time. This was such an honor to talk to you, dude. I know people are always, I'm such a big fan, but I really am, man. It was a real honor to talk to you.
Of course, thanks for thanks for the interview, and then Cool, man. You have a great day. Where are you at?
Ohio.
Ohio. Hey, you're in the redneck. My coach. So you know Scott Sheely?
I don't. Sorry.
Okay. Cool.
All right, buddy. I will let you go. Thank you so much for your time. It was awesome, man.
All right, man. You have a great one.
You too, bro.